Hi! Welcome to this part of my session report featuring From the Ashes. If you haven't seen the other parts of this Dark Souls style solo campaign, please check out the playlist in the description below. You can also find the tools that I am using to run this game in the description as well. Corvus continues towards the east part of the village. Being in this forsaken village is very stressful, which inflicts a point of stress on Corvus. This makes Corvus significantly paranoid. Along the path, Corvus encounters a collapsed hut with a strange totem of a bloated man at its center. Just on the other side of the road, there is what appears to be a large trading store. I made a roll using the motif generator to emulate player characters, and I obtained the result of uncertain towards yes. I asked if Corvus was going to enter this trading store, and then I obtained unengaged along with the flow, blunt with no rush. So Corvus approaches the storehouse carefully and does a superficial search of the place, uncovering a few items that are still usable. I made a roll to see which items Corvus was going to take with him, if any. I obtained Observe Occult Purity when it comes to using the Game Master's Apprentice deck, but no items match that description. I thought it would be somewhat nonsensical if Corvus just carries out a search and doesn't obtain or doesn't pick up anything that he found, so I made a roll using the Roleplaying, yes, that's how it's pronounced, Roleplaying, like instead of an L, an R, writing tools for gaming and writing. I'm going to feature that product in a future review, but the link to it will be in the description as well. And I obtained the results of Cubicle, Massive, Writing. I used the item description table to generate this. So Corvus decides to take a box of nails, a bottle of oil, and 40 coins containing souls. These are the items that are closer to this result. He also took a bunch of arrows with him. That's my interpretation of the observe part. As Corvus continues east, he finally spots the blacksmith structure mentioned in the journal entry. Bizarrely enough, despite it being abandoned, the stone forge at the back is in working condition. Next to the forge, there is a torn and half-burnt note, which reads, 3 nails, hammer, 50 feet of rope, bag to collect the blood, wood to cover the body against wild animals. Corvus doesn't know what to make of this. It makes no sense at the moment. He continues the path northwise, and he spots an old hut. Using the motif generator, I asked the question if Corvus was going to enter this building, and I obtained no, negative, refusal, unengaged, going with the flow, indirect approach, complex but sensible. But Corvus decides to avoid this hut altogether, since he considers it irrelevant to his current search to open the gate. After passing other ruined huts, Corvus spots a large clearing in the northeast. I made a roll to see if Corvus was going to enter this clearing, and I obtained, using the motif generator, mixed, leaning yes, unengaged but goes with the flow, not direct but on point. Corvus decides to approach the clearing with great caution. Within the clearing, there is a curious stone monument, hexagonal, covered in weird hieroglyphic writing. He finds a piece of paper, of torn paper, tangled up in a nearby branch of a hedge, and it reads, "They say the body was found here, but there is no blood. Must remember to ask who found her." Upon closer inspection, the monument is clearly not attached to the ground. When Corvus pushes it, a vertical shaft underneath it is revealed. I made a roll to see if Corvus would enter this shaft using the motif generator. I obtained mixed, leaning towards yes, higher engaged, over the top, reckless approach. Corvus immediately secures a rope to the ground, using a couple of spikes, lights up his lamp, and descends through the shaft without a second thought. And this concludes this part of the session report. Let's see how things turn up for Corvus, because it is quite reckless and risky to just go down into that shaft without exploring the other areas of the village. He could be making a mistake. He's actually missing a magical weapon that is hidden in the village. Maybe he will never find it. This is all based on the interpretation of this method to emulate player characters, Abraham's method. And just as it happens with your players, sometimes these emulated player characters will take some decisions that are not exactly favorable. You can also appreciate that I only made rolls for the important scenes or actions, just like when handling skill checks in a normal RPG situation. You only roll for those moments where there are significant consequences. And in the case that something is required for the adventure to proceed, it's better to consider that to be an automatic action, perhaps even a success, because with player characters, even though they could tarry, they could delay a bit, they almost always get on the right track, even if it's of their own choosing, so that they find what they are looking for. And so the same thing applies to solo player characters that are emulated using Abraham's method. Thank you for watching this part of the session report. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know. And thank you so much to those of you that have been supporting the channel by sending drive-thru RPG gift certificates. If anyone else wants to further support the channel, the information on how to do that will be in the description below. Once again, thank you, and see you later.